feel a little empathy. Play this on his FM show. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio.
Good day, planet Earth. Michael Litton, the last DJ, host of Ride the Vibe, playing what he wants to play and saying what he wants to say. Thank you, Tom Petty, the late, great Tom Petty. Broadcasting from the beautiful DRSATL studio right here in Roswell, Georgia, for all our fans worldwide. This is the 8th largest city in the state of Georgia. And the owner and consummate host and executive producer of the show, Wahid Gomes, at the audio board. And then it wouldn't be a Facebook Live show without Otis Tillman. And again, I just genuflect to these guys. I don't know how they pull it together. You know, we're delayed a little bit on this show, but the technology, man, you got internet connectivity issues, you got Zoom stuff, you got Facebook Live, you got the audio bringing in. So it it's crazy, but they do it, and I'm amazed. And so thank you all for patiently waiting for the show to start. I'm totally over the moon stoked to have on the show Born Healer, a soulful, heavy, groovy blues rock UK-based band. Now, we don't have the entire group Born Healer, but we have Helen Turner and Ian Black, both from Glasgow, Scotland, now based in the UK. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much.
Hello,
Hi.
hello. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh! And you guys are up late. You're vampires, right? It's like 12.
Yeah.
No, it's morning now in the UK.
Well,
half past midnight.
it's midnight, so this is just crazy time. For
It's
us
all
to
good.
be out.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Shocking.
again.
we hope our mothers aren't listening. They're going to be
Well, we
so
hope they
upset.
are. We hope they are. you
Well,
know.
we hope they are.
But they're in bed probably, no doubt. So for all your fans that are Legion, the way we roll Ride the Vibe is I like to do what I call an old-fashioned music listing format, and we just changed up the background to highlight a turntable. Because back in the day when I was at University of Colorado in Boulder, going to college, we would play records. We'd actually listen to them in their entirety. We even stacked them, you know, and then they'd drop and we'd play them in an eclectic mix because, you know, one cat would have the new Joni Mitchell and one cat would have the new Bootsy Collins and one cat would have the new Bob Marley, on and on and on. And, you know, I always wished at the time, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if the artist was there to talk about the music and the song and the backstory? And the best we had, of course, was the liner notes, which were voluminous. And then we loved those double albums because we could clean the seeds and stems out of our weed, which was coming from Mexico. But we like to encourage the listeners to sit back in a comfort of an environment of their choosing, get a beverage of their choice.
Okay.
And in the studio, I've got some sparkled water from a cool company called DrinkMate. They're out of Michigan, and they make this little device that sparkles really any beverage that you want. Although Johnny Hodson last week told me don't sparkle any milk. So
I've heard of some people sparkling wine.
Yeah. And then make it like champagne.
And it goes fizzy.
Yeah.
So I've heard of that, but I've never done it.
It's very cool, this DrinkMate, because it'll take any beverage, and so it greatly reduces, like for me, I was buying club soda in plastic. Well, now I don't do that anymore. So it saves money, saves the environment. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
cheers
well
to DrinkMate.
done.
Cheers to you all.
Cheers. Well, we've got
Cheers.
whiskey.
Oh, nice. I love it.
It's midnight here.
I should have some of that in the studio, but it didn't get me all bollocksed up.
Yeah.
So-
it's midnight.
And the way we're going to roll this is we're going to play 5 or 6 to 7 of your songs, not in their entirety, because we want folks to go out and buy the music. Not on Spotify, because that bloody CEO for Spotify, Daniel Ick, gives up maybe 0.00331 cents to you all for each stream. And as there was a great article, REM's Mike Mills told the CEO to go F himself because he was telling the artists they just needed to go out and make more music as a way to make more money. It's like, no, dude, how about you free up some of those billions you're raking in and give it to the people that are making it for you? But at any rate, because I'm the last DJ I can say that. So we're going to play 6 to 7 of your songs, not in their entirety. Some of them will be audio files. Some will be video. And then while they're playing, folks can go out and buy that album. And where can they get that? The first album, Till the Dawn, your debut.
Till the Dawn. Where can they get it?
Main place is from our website, bornhealer.com.
Perfect.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just simple, and you just buy it online, and it's there for you.
And then that is the best way for you all to make some money.
Yeah.
You know
what? We did have it on Amazon up until just a week or so ago, but I'm not a fan of Amazon.
Yeah, amen.
So I kind of thought,
Jeff Bezos, another bum out there, just raking in billions and not giving anybody any money.
And during this lockdown, they're just making millions.
Yeah, incredible. I heard something like 13 billion a day he's making.
What?
And paying his people like nothing. So shame on him too. But
that's wrong.
And you guys aren't gigging, right? I mean, there was an article that my sister sent me that talks about Nashville live music industry on the brink of calamity. Think about that, because again, probably just like y'all in the UK, these venues are not open.
Well, this is it. We had loads of gigs, as many bands did, all lined up for 2020. And especially, the summer is just finishing, and in England, and we were in England and Wales, but also there's loads of festivals that, we were booked on to, and that's the kind of way that the music scene runs in Britain, that during the summer months there's quite a lot of festivals every month, every week, loads. And so we were booked on a lot of those. And of course, none of that can happen.
Right.
So that's what tends to happen in the summer, and then in the winter time or the autumn time, it's the more kind of intimate venues that are having gigs, and of course, they didn't happen in spring.
No.
And they're just not about to happen either in the autumn and the winter. So everything's just gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of
empty.
A lot of the festival organizers and the gigs as well. They're just flipping everything over to 2021.
Yeah, right.
So the same lineup and everything.
Yeah.
But I was just speaking to the owner of the rehearsal studios we were at tonight for our first rehearsal.
Yeehaw!
Lockdown. Woo! It was good.
Yippee.
It was good to be loud.
And you got to see your mates, Merrick and Steve.
Yes, we did.
So the owner of the studio, Nigel, he was just saying that he's starting to hear that some promoters are actually waiting for 2022 now before they start.
Jeez, Pete.
So
these venues can't hang on. In this article, the guy from Exit in Nashville, the owner, he said people don't understand we can't pivot. The club owners, we can't do takeout, we can't do delivery. We depend on, packing a lot of people in a small space and having folks up on stage shout, yell out loudly.
I know.
And we have to turn that over multiple times.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it, really.
No.
And you can say you'll do it online, and you'll have a virtual gig, and that's great that people are trying to do that. But I think anybody who's into music, as we all are, wants to go to a sweaty venue late at night. It's dark. It's it's a little it's a little bit edgy.
It smells musty.
It's not so great. The toilets are horrible.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
But we love it.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And it's just that. But I mean, I'm hopeful. We're hopeful.
Amen.
Hopeful.
You got to be. Well, and your name, Born Healer, is it's indicative of hope. So I want to talk about that, but I think we need to tee up one of your latest singles, or the latest single, Heavy Rumble.
Oh Oh,
Love
cool.
this song, and we'll play just a couple minutes. And while we're doing this, y'all, again, tying back in, you're not going to gigs right now, y'all. So go buy their music. That's the least you can do. Buy the album, and then you
Yeah.
can create your own musty, smelly, bad bathroom environment.
Yeah. We could send you T-shirts with
Yeah.
special musty
Musty.
smell. We can do that.
You heard it here. You tell Born Healer you heard it on Ride the Vibe. You'll get a musty T-shirt with a CD.
Wow. Special extra musty damp T-shirt.
Well, let's hear a little heavy rumble if we could, Otis, or Wahid,
Right.
one of y'all. You are back with Born Healer. Oh my gosh, I love that new single. And I'm not alone. Classic Rock Magazine said the real deal. That was heavy rumble. Got a lot to unpack, but I like you guys make such a lovely couple. And and I love a love story. So I have to hear. You guys have been together, I believe, 20 years? Is that
Yeah, but more than that.
Kinda. More,
Yeah.
maybe more.
Not much more than that.
Well, I was close. The last DJ's close.
Yeah.
So tell me how y'all met. Was it love at first sight? Was it through music or?
Should you want me to do this?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So, Will, we don't come from London, but
Yeah.
we now live in London.
Yeah.
So, we both were living in London separately without having met each other. And Ian put an advert in a paper. In those days, it was a paper
Yeah, sure.
newspaper for a singer songwriter, and I applied, and that was me.
Wow.
But the weird thing was that it turned out that we had mutual friends in common. I was good friends with people he'd been at school with,
Yeah.
and that was just complete coincidence.
And another coincidence was that I put some bands, I mentioned some bands in the advert as influences, as you do.
Sure.
And one of them was Free, which is one of my favorite bands,
Yeah.
and one of Helen's favorite bands.
And
the
we're
other
going to
two-
talk about that. I want to get to that too.
Cool. And the other two bands that I mentioned, Helen had actually seen in concert, or was going to see in concert, just within about 8 weeks of the advert.
Wow.
So, I mean, they were obviously current bands that were
Yeah,
doing
so
the
it was
rounds.
just like really,
It was quite a good match.
It was a lot of things.
You
It was
connected.
the Cult, and it was Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, look at that! Wow.
I know. So he'd said, these are my influences:
Yeah.
the Cult, Free, and Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I was just about to go and see the Cult and Lenny Kravitz.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
loved it. And it just seemed like this is the one you have to call. You
Yeah.
know, this is the one, and I did. And then but we weren't. If you want to know, we weren't a couple for a long time.
Yeah.
We were just band members.
Yeah.
And after that, we just thought, oh, you know what? It's easier if we get together.
So it wasn't a love at first sight. It was kind of just, it was an evolution.
Well,
it was connection at first
Yeah.
sight.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Connection. Yeah. The musical connection for sure.
Yeah, very much
Yeah,
a
and
musical
also
connection.
personality-wise, I think we're very much on the same kind of wavelength.
Yeah.
So there was always a bit of a connection. We just
Yeah.
had to work it through.
Interesting. And then talk about the name Born Healer and the connection to James Taylor, because I understand there's a connection to James Taylor. So if you'd weave that in, that would be cool.
Well, okay. Well, I'd love to tell you that James Taylor actually named our band.
But your nose would be growing?
Yeah, my nose, and I'd be struck down.
Yeah.
And it's a complete lie.
All right, you
So
can't do
I-
that. Only the last
won't-
DJ can do those kind of things.
Yeah. So I won't tell you that. So what happened was that we were trying to find a name that was positive and interesting.
Yeah.
And so we kind of felt the people that we were in the band to start with, Steve wasn't in the band to start with, but
Right.
another guy called
Andy, yep.
So he needs credit for that too. So
Yeah.
we all decided on
Hope you're watching, Andy. Hello.
hello
Hey,
Andy. Still good friends, so he's not throwing rotten tomatoes at the screen. I hope,
Good.
hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we decided that we wanted something positive, and we just liked the idea of healer. And
Yeah.
although we're not particularly, none of us are spiritually
Right.
awake in that sense. It's not a case of we're healers in any sense. We just like the idea of being healing and a positive thing.
I think we thought it had a bit of a blues kind of
Yeah.
historical connection as
Like,
well.
the
John Lee Hooker album,
John Lee
The
Hooker.
Healer was a big album,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
that sort of mojo type stuff.
Yeah.
So we quite like that. And then, but we wanted to put a word with it that would kind of just make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But every word we put to it seemed to change it. It seemed to change it too much. And then one of us came up with Born, and it seemed to just intensify.
Yeah.
And we
Fit
thought
neatly.
that was,
Yeah.
was better. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
worked quite cool. And
I
then
love it.
And then so we thought, right, Born Healer, we're Born Healer.
Yeah.
So we Googled it because you have to find out if there's
Yeah. Someone
6
else has
million
it.
other
Right,
bands.
right.
Yeah, and there was no other bands apparently called Born Healer, but what there was a quote from a
a concert
concert.
review.
a concert review
Yeah.
that was James Taylor supporting Aerosmith.
Oh,
apparently.
wow.
And the journalist had just said, this band we're on, that band we're on.
Yeah.
And then the Born Healer, James Taylor, came on stage.
Oh, interesting. That's the way James Taylor was described by
was
this.
described.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And I don't think he went into much detail about
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
James Taylor was a Born Healer. We just took it to be that he's just got such a lovely, soothing voice. He's got such
Yeah.
a beautiful
And
kind
his
of
guitar playing.
style.
Well, and if you
No.
look in his back, I mean, he overcame addiction, so
Absolutely.
he's
Yeah.
healed himself. So it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and music
So-
is a healer. So it really
Yeah.
is,
So, yeah.
is pretty cool. I get
So-
chills. It's awesome.
So
Yeah.
although it was just 2 words out of a review,
Yeah.
we just felt that was an okay kind of connotation and an
Right,
okay kind
right.
of connection to have with us. So
Well,
yeah,
and not
that's fine.
bad to be linked to Aerosmith as well, kind of a rocking band.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it all fits
don't
together
mind.
nicely. I
Yeah.
love it.
we're good with that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and play Our Father Time, which is
Okay.
another a recent single, and I'm imagining is getting ready for an album, but we'll talk about that. But we'll be right
Okay.
back. We got to support our sponsor, which in this case is DRSATL.
DRS provides professional audio mixing and mastering services. They also provide other creative services such as voiceover editing, audio restoration, and audio forensics. They have great customer service, their work is fast and efficient, and their prices are affordable. You can learn more about their creative services by visiting them on the web at DRSATL.com. Again, that's DRSATL.com, or call them at 404-590-0779. Again, that's 404-590-0779. DRS, when the right sound matters.
Having just a fascinating conversation with Helen Turner and Ian Black of Born Healer. And before we get to our Father Time, just talk a little bit about Heavy Rumble. I love the way you guys put that video together, bringing each of the instruments in individually. The black and white I thought was so classic, and the music just killer. But just talk a little bit about that latest release, if you would.
Yeah. Do you want to start there?
Yeah, well, we just had some idea. It's we were saying earlier, when you do a new music video, you need to keep coming up with new ideas just to make it slightly different. And I think we'd already decided we would try and do it in black and white and have lots of interesting lighting angles so that you would just see a face appear in the dark. And then, so we did a bit of that, and then we kind of thought, you know, it'd be nice to have something interesting just to open it up. And when we organized the set with the drum kit and the amps and the rug on the floor and the big, it just all looked really cool. And we just thought, actually, you know what, we could just do it so that we just do a take just with Marek starting on bass as with the song, and each of us then fade it in, and it worked really well. We didn't really know what we were doing, and we were kind of just hoping it would work. But then we got it back from the video guy, and it looked great.
Yeah,
so
and the video guy, Janusz, is another Polish guy.
Yeah.
And I do know his second name, I just can't pronounce it. So I'm really sorry.
Well, I wouldn't be able to pronounce his own.
So sorry, Janusz.
Yeah.
But you know, he did that video, and he did another video for it. He did Forgot to Forget video as well. So
which we hope we'll get to at the end of the show.
Oh, okay. So he's been really supportive, and he's great. He's got really good ideas. So we came up with the ideas, I think, and he just made them
implemented
work.
He
just made it work.
Is it fun, and is it another creative outlet as musicians to be able to have that component? I would think it would be really cool.
To do the video?
Yeah.
I think it is. It's something that I, for one, didn't think I'd ever be doing videos.
Yeah.
You know, not because I didn't think that. You know, I just thought in my career it probably wouldn't happen. But actually, these days it's a good idea to do videos.
Of course.
Whatever level you are as a band.
Of course. The necessity, the mother of invention. You got to go with the times.
Definitely. And so you think, you know, you might just do us standing singing on stage, but then you need to be a little bit more creative than that. So you kind of get forced into being a bit more creative. And it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
right. Another outlet.
Yeah.
And also, as musicians, we've done our work. We've got the recording.
Yeah.
So the recording, the audio recording's done, and somebody else can come in and try and make us look good.
Yeah.
So we could just enjoy it.
Yeah. So it's a little, it's different, a little more relaxing. I love that. Well, on this next song, Our Father Time, which is another current release, which I'm anticipating is going to be on a EP or whatever, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But this is in an audio format, and Otis Tillman has done a great job taking pics you all sent and doing a little montage. So we'll play about 2 minutes of that. So again, you all stay with us and go out and get to bornhealer.com and buy that CD, Till the Dawn. That's their debut release, and we will be hearing songs off of that soon.
Oh, show me the way to a new day. Won't you save me, baby? Oh, Valentine, won't you give me a sign? Ooh, yeah. It's an invitation to everybody, yeah. Come outside, dance upon the hillside. Ooh, there's nothing there. Oh, ain't it fine? Ooh, ain't it fine? Oh, ain't it fine?
Totally digging Born Healer. That's our old Father Time. And I'm not alone because classic rock, the blues, says simply wonderful. Great song. Talk about that if you will, y'all.
Okay, so that was actually a quote that they talked about our last band.
Yeah.
I think was me and Ian, and our old drummer was in, and they were just enjoying our kind of sound, and we hope that we've continued with that with
Yeah.
Born Healer. So
And that song, the Old Father Time song, is actually about a friend of ours who was he was a perfect hippie. He was about.
What does that mean, Ian? Perfect hippie.
a perfect hippie.
He looked like a hippie and he talked like a hippie, but he completely believed in it all and being nice to everybody.
He was just a nice guy.
He just was a really nice guy. He said he woke up every morning and he just felt good to be alive.
Yeah.
And the guy unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and we went to his funeral, and it was beautiful. They played lots of Hawk Wind. Hawk Wind over there, and and there was so many different types of people in attendance. It was really good, and he'd always kind of inspired us as just being a lovely guy, and really true. And so we wrote that song about him because he looked like Old Father Time.
Yeah, he kind of had the Gandalf look.
Yeah,
you know?
Nice. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think that's what Ian means about him being the perfect hippie.
Yeah.
Because he was like, if you kind of drew a picture of what a hippie should look like,
that would be it. Gandalf.
And not because he was trying to conform or anything.
Yeah,
He just
was the way he was. Well, God rest his soul, and a great tribute to him. And so I'm in don't want to make any assumptions, but are the two singles then leading up to when you're back in the studio tonight? You were in with your bandmates, and I want to have you talk about Merrick and Steve. But is an album or an EP forthcoming? Is that in the works?
Oh yes. Well,
a second, I should say, second.
Well, our first album came out, 4 years ago, and that was great, and it's still continuing to be great. And
we're going to play a bunch of cuts off of that.
Thank you. And what's good is that we're still giving that, we're still allowing that album to go out there, and lots of people haven't heard it, and so it's new to many people. So we're not giving up on that album. That's great. We've got that album. But obviously we've got new stuff, we've got new material, and we recorded some stuff, kind of Forgot to Forget, Old Father Time, Heavy Rumble, and we've done all that, and then we kind of had a change of drummer. So that it didn't halt things, because that's just the way it is, but it did mean that we had to sort of reboot ourselves slightly. So the new album was kind of stopped, not stopped, but just kind of slowed down. And then of course COVID happened.
Right.
So by now we would be saying, look at our new album, but we're not. So what's happening is that we've got about 3 or 4 or 5 songs already recorded.
Nice.
And we're still continuing to record and make new songs. So we've actually got a lot of material.
And I think sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the positive things about lockdown is that you have a bit more time. So we've been writing quite a lot. And we've been swapping song ideas over the internet with each other. And so we've got a new bunch of songs that we were just started working on again tonight in our first rehearsal
I love
since
it.
lockdown. And so we're hoping to be able to get the album finished by the end of the year.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, so stay tuned, y'all. Keep on the lookout on Facebook and on the Born Healer website. I think I know the answer to this, but because you've kind of talked about it. But talk about your thoughts about releasing singles versus an album. I've had artists on the show that have said, no, they're never going to do an album again because that's not the way people are buying them. Then other artists have said, but hey, I want to do this concept, and I'm not, I'm not beholding to the single drive kind of market.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think it's one of the really challenging things about now. It's because I think, as you say, different people want different things. So your audience want different things.
Yeah.
So you do an album, some people will say there's no point, or some other bands might say there's no point in pressing up any physical copies. But then, you play gigs or whatever, and people come up to you straight away and say, have you got it on CD?
Right.
And then somebody comes up and asks if you've got it on vinyl.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also some of the more traditional media, so magazines and things, they're looking to do reviews, and they would ideally want a product from you to review. So it's challenging, and we kind of discuss it a lot between the band all the time. And
you're kind of like one foot in the Piru and one foot in the boat, or on the dock, as they say in Louisiana. Because I never went. Very rarely would I ever go to a gig in a club or wherever it would be where I didn't get the CD if I didn't already have it. If I were going to see bands that I didn't, not the big name bands, but bands that I didn't know, just because I thought that was, supportive of, and I'd enjoyed their music in the venue.
Yeah, that's really good of you.
Well,
I think it's totally right. I think that it may not be the thing that bands do these days, but I do think there's a kind of a legacy, especially people in the more classic rock, classic blues kind of genre, that think, and rightly so, that you have a product, you have an album, you have a CD. And so I think that people want to have something in their hands.
Yeah, I know I do.
I do.
I miss the information that we used to get on the albums. Some of those, like thick as a brick. I think you got volumes of stuff you can read through as you're listening to the music. It just
absolutely. And I used to love it when they had the lyrics.
Yes,
on,
yes.
You could just kind of sing along, or
and who was playing on it, and on.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a real short break to support a sponsor that's near and dear to my heart, Foundation for Premature Infants. Advocating for these little people that have no voice. And then we're going to come back and play Pressure Valve off the debut release, the 2016 debut release, Till the Dawn. So stay with us and go out and buy Born Healer stuff. The number of premature infants born in the United States each year, 380,000. That's 9.8% of the total births in the U.S. The Foundation for Premature Infants' mission is to advocate for the right of all premature infants to be cared for in a developmentally supportive and age-appropriate manner. Our vision is to ensure that Premature Infants' Bill of Rights is the standard of care for all babies born prematurely, 24 hours per day, 365 days per year, on all shifts, in every neonatal intensive care unit throughout the world. Please consider making a donation by visiting us on Facebook, Foundation for Premature Infants, or at our website, foundationforprematureinfants.org. Born Healer, a soulful, heavy, groovy, blues rock UK-based band made up of Helen Turner, Ian Black, who are on the show right now, and Merrick Funkus and Steve Weaver, bass and drums respectively, who were just in the studio with Helen and Ian. And I want you all to talk, set up a Pressure Valve, if you would, before we cue it up. Cue it up. You see that? And the turntable in the background? Whoa.
Yay! Pressure Valve.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it was one of the first songs we wrote when we got together as a band.
Yeah.
And it was really nice because I think I'd brought in a song idea and it wasn't really working, and we kind of shelved it a bit. And then Marek just started playing this really groovy bass line, and we thought, wait a minute, we could put that other song on top of that bass line.
Yeah.
And it really worked, and it just felt like it had a great groove, and
Yeah.
We open a lot of our gigs with it because it's really just.
Yeah, Marek's the master of groovy bass lines.
Yeah, he really, I love that. I love the way he opened Heavy Rumble. Well, let's hear a little Pressure Valve if we could.
Great.
Something's been bothering me. I see now I'm bothering you. Said you keep your distance. Yeah, but now I can't avoid you. Your behavior's getting stranger, and your face is always mine. Tension is raising. If I was watching from the sideline, I'd say, open the pressure valve, let out a little steam. Open the pressure valve, all the things that are getting you.
Your debut album, Till the Dawn, and I think this was Blues Matter said this, beautiful vocals on a record and even better live. And I don't know about the live part, but love that love that track. And as I understand it, Ian, you do most of the writing. Is that talk about your creative process and the writing process and how the band works collaboratively, if you would, a little bit.
Okay, well, I think I do most of it because it's just something that I just, I pick up a guitar and I tend to start writing rather than just pressing. So I just come up with some ideas, and I usually have maybe an idea for the verse and the chorus or something, and maybe some lyrics, and just bring it into the rehearsal studio and see what everybody does with it, and we chop and change it. We were doing one tonight, and we changed the key and things, and it would work much better for Helen's voice. And also, if I might have an idea for a vocal line, it just might be too low for Helen. So Helen will work out how she does it. And for me, I would prefer everybody sort of bringing, playing things their way, because they're the specialists at their instrument.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I can't think of anything worse than me coming in and saying, Marek, play a bass line like this. So he's the groove master. So why not have the groove master? And Helen, obviously, a fantastic singer. So I don't want to give anything to Helen that's too limiting. So we all contribute to the writing, and everybody's happy with it at the end.
I love it. Well, and I said this in the run-up to the show, and I know you haven't mentioned her as one of your influences, but you have such a resemblance, at least to my eye, to Stevie Nicks. Your stage presence, the way, the boots, the dress.
Ian.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael.
No, not Ian.
Wow, Ian.
Helen. Did I say Ian? Oh my God.
No, you didn't.
I'm just drinking water. Oh my. That whiskey's it's whatever transporting over here. But that's a high compliment, because she's one of my I'm
That's a high compliment.
Big fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very killer.
Yeah.
Well, I want to, we talked about this debut album, and I want to cue up, and this is going to be in a video format, Till the Dawn, the title track, and then we'll come back and chat. So go out and buy that CD right now while you're listening to this music, y'all. Ring that cash register for these artists.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching.
Well, I've had of your lines. I like a tomcat of the night. But I will be lying if I said I didn't care. I will wait up till the dawn. You have to then to come right home. I will wait up till the morning. But if you are late, I'll be gone. Well, my heart is so hardened. Just like the diamond that you promised me.
That's the title
Yeah, but
track.
I'm your
Till the Dawn, off their Born Healer's debut album 2016, that you all are going out and buying right now, I know, on online, because you want that musty T-shirt that's going to be thrown in with
That's right.
that CD.
Yeah, we've got them soaking in the bath as we speak.
Soaking in the whiskey. No, don't waste
No.
good whiskey.
We don't waste whiskey, no.
Yeah.
And it looks like from the montage of pictures that Otis has brilliantly put together that you all sent, that you like to have some fun, you all. The band likes to have some fun.
Yeah, we have been known to have fun the odd time.
Why
Yeah.
not? Life's
Why
too short.
not?
So talk
Yeah.
about that track, the genesis of it, and the decision to make it the title track, make the the name of the album, etc.
Till the Dawn.
Yeah, if you would.
Yeah.
I think
Love
became it became the title track just because when we did the recordings, it just seemed to be quite special. There's something about the way it had come out.
The mood it
Just seemed
sets. Yeah.
really nice. Yeah, and people do seem to be attracted to it. As one of the kind of main songs of ours.
Yeah.
So so that worked out quite well. And the genesis of it was musically, it was just trying to do a nice bluesy song, a minor key bluesy song, but not just a 12 bar, but to try and have a nice chorus in there as well. And then lyrically, it came from a couple of people we know, a friend and also a family member, actually Helen's grandfather. And both of these people had this story about how they'd sat up all night when a close friend or a family member had passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Because either it was the religion in one case or it was just some amateur philosophizing on the other.
Yeah.
That they were waiting to kind of see, in Helen's case, her grandfather's friend or vice versa had said, if I pass away and there is a heaven, I'll come back and tell you.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was essentially waiting up all night
Oh,
till
my
the dawn to kind of see if this spirit was going to come back to him. And it was two stories. It was two stories that just really stuck with me, and I thought I'd
Resonated,
like to
yeah,
try and do
yeah.
a song with them. And
I love it.
it was maybe a bit too morbid to do that in the song title, so we did it more about Helen as
A woman waiting up.
waiting
I
up
love
while
it.
the man
And you
played
don't
the
get
song.
that from Spotify, y'all, from a download on Spotify.
Yeah. I think, you know, if you kind of write a song from something that's quite meaningful to you,
Yeah,
then that helps you
It
can
resonates,
get across
yeah.
the emotion across. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is my grandfather, who was a staunch communist
Oh,
and
interesting.
a complete atheist.
Oh, wow.
And him and his brother were very much like that.
Yeah,
And they both had a pact that if one of them died, for sure, if they could come back and say there is an afterlife,
yeah,
then they would do it.
yeah.
And so my grandfather stayed up till the dawn, and he did it a few nights, and
Yeah.
probably a lot of nights. And
Waiting.
then that was him,
Probably a lot of whiskey as well.
probably
Yeah.
a lot of whiskey. And he categorically said, "That's it. I know for sure
There's
there ain't no
there
afterlife."
no. Oh man. Well, you know, and on that note, on that depressing note,
Yeah,
I-
sorry about that.
we
Sorry
need
about all
to
you
we need to
Christians out there.
we need to segue to Brand New Day. I think we need a
Yeah,
little,
yeah.
Here's a positive life.
yeah, exactly, which is also off Till the Dawn. So let's cue that up if we could. And this is in a video format, so Otis will cue this one up. Till the Dawn, Born Healer. Brand New Day.
I know life can be hard, and times sure can be tough, and nights can be long and lonely, but when you're down. Never when you're down, the only way is up. So reach out, stretch up, stand tall, turn and face the dawn. See the sunrise for the first time. Oh, it's a brand new day. But I know it's not so easy, and the road can be harsh and rough. Out in the dark, the cold and long. But look around, look around, look around. Not the only one. So reach out, stretch out, stand tall, turn and face the dawn. See the sunrise for the first time. Ooh, it's a brand new day.
Killer guitar playing, Ian. I love that,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
What a great song and great video. And you mentioned at the top of the show that Free was one of both y'all's influences. And Ian, talk about the opportunity you had to meet Andy Frazier and that story.
Yeah, so we were playing at a blues festival in East London somewhere,
Yeah.
And Andy Fraser has, I think, been living in the States, or had been living in the States for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
But he was over in the UK on a very rare occasion because he just released his own autobiography. So he was kind of doing a few rounds, and I was just preparing to go on stage because there was, it was a festival, so you had to get all your gear ready before the next band finished and things.
Yeah.
So I was just at the side of the backstage, setting out my effects pedals and tuning up and things, and Andy Fraser just walked past, and it was just I just couldn't not say hello. So
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Fraser is, a lot of people imagine that because I'm a guitar player, that Paul Kossoff would be my favorite member of Free.
Yeah.
I really think with Free, all four members were just made the perfect sound.
Yeah.
And Andy Fraser was one of the main songwriters at the start, so very much one of my idols. And I was reading his autobiography.
Oh, no way.
So I just stopped him to say.
No coincidences, though. I mean, everything,
No.
it's all, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really great because he was just by himself, so he wasn't actually rushing off anywhere.
Yeah.
So I had a quick chat, and I said, "I'm reading your book. It's really great." And he came back and said he was actually reading Eric Clapton's autobiography.
Oh,
So he
my
recommended
all-time
it. So-
favorite musician there.
Great! So we had a great little regular
Chat.
conversation.
Doing a little book club.
Yeah.
Impromptu book club before the show.
Yeah,
Well, and
that's nice.
I love that story. And I know one of y'all's other, you mentioned in the run-up to the show, the Black Crowes are also one of your other, your fans of them, Marietta, Georgia, right down the road from us here.
Definitely, yeah. That's one of the bands that we've always liked.
Yeah.
Together and separately, but as before we met even.
Yep.
Their first album, Shake Your Moneymaker, was just kind of out.
Yeah.
When we got together, which shows you how long that has been. It's quite a long time ago. And I think literally every time they've come to the UK, we've seen the Black Crowes.
You guys have gone to see them. Wow.
Every single time. I don't think we would let them slip past London without us.
I love it.
Without us going to see them.
Very cool.
And the stuff that they've got now, the Magpie Salute that Rich Robinson's got, we were really into that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just love the Black Crowes, really.
I dig it.
Good stuff.
Well, and we're gonna play a song that's a cover of another band that you all are big fans of. But before we get to Since I've Been Loving You, I wanna give a shout out to, it wouldn't be a Ride the Vibe without Lucy Pillar with All Right Now Entertainment, who, interestingly enough to me, the last three guests, so Troy Redfern, Kaz Hawkins, and Johnny Hodgson, and now you all UK, well, Kaz in France, but basically UK based, and all blues-ish based bands, and it's somewhat full circle because in the 60s, right, blues here in the States was out of favor. R&B had kind of supplanted it. Meanwhile, the blues albums are going over to Liverpool and other places and getting picked up by the Claptons and the John Mayalls and Led Zeppelin. And, so now it feels like y'all in the UK are reintroducing the blues to us back here in the States. So I want to talk about your influence, the Led Zeppelin influence, but I want to cue up this audio file, Since I've Been Loving You. If we could, Wahid.
Okay.
Maple Lion, on a podcast you all did just recently, said of that song that he felt, and he listens to a lot of music, that it was better than the original, which I can't disagree with. He also went on to say he believed that your album, Till the Dawn, was the best he had heard in a decade. So
Yeah.
high praise from that Maple Lion.
Yeah,
And
Maple
talk
Lion.
about y'all meeting Jimmy Page and that story.
Okay, so first of all, just thanks to Matt at the Maple Line. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't get out much, you know. You know, he's been under quarantine all his life.
Oh
you know?
my
So
gosh.
that is why he said this lovely
Oh,
thing.
no,
Thank
I don't
you.
believe that at all.
So the Jimmy Page story was incredible. So we, not with this band, admittedly, but Ian
Yeah.
and I did the band before with Andy, our drummer, ex-drummer, you know, from this band. Anyway, we're all kind of, you know, together, and
Yeah.
you know, this band has another band after it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were supporting a band called the Groundhogs in the 100 Club in Oxford Street. And the Groundhogs are, I'm not sure if you're aware of them, but they're a pretty seminal blues band from the 60s. And it just, to kind of very long story short, Jimmy Page was in the audience.
Yeah.
And to see them, not us. But we didn't know that he wasn't there for us. So
Yeah.
when we played our set, we'd seen him around, and we were just terrified. Because we saw him.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we did our set, and that was fine. And then we did actually play Since I've Been Loving You during the set, because
I love
it was down to be played. So we had
Yeah,
to play
you
it.
had to do it, right?
We had to do it. So that was nerve-wracking. I'm sure it was much more nerve-wracking for Ian as a
Yeah, of
guitarist
course,
than
of
it
course,
was
as a
for me, but it
guitarist.
was
Yeah,
still pretty nerve-wracking.
I love
Anyway,
it.
so afterwards, we were just standing in the crowd. We'd done our bits, so we were
Yeah.
quite happy. And there was Jimmy Page standing about 2 feet away from us.
Oh my gosh.
And we just had to go and talk to him. So I went to speak to him, and I
Yeah.
kind of just said, hi. And I just said, you know, oh, I was the support band. And
Yeah.
he said, oh, I missed a support band. And I went,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And he said, but I heard you did a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
Which one did you do?
Ew, yeah.
And I said, Since I've Been Loving You. And he said, oh, I'm really sorry I missed it.
Missed
I'm
it,
really
yeah.
sorry I missed it. And I thought, oh, well. Oh, I didn't really know what to say. It
Yeah.
was one of those surreal moments
Yeah.
telling Jimmy Page that I just
Done it. Well, you know what's
Some-
interesting about Matt's observation is, you know, with a female vocalist doing a Zeppelin song, not unlike with Nancy Wilson and Hart doing that brilliant rendition of Stairway to Heaven at
Absolutely, at the
the
inaugural
Kennedy
thing,
Center,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and had
yeah.
Page, I believe, in Plan in Tears. And
Yeah.
also, and I'd encourage you guys to go out if you want to hear a little bit more about Born Healer. Go out and get that Maple Lion and Matt's podcast and listen to it. But he asked an interesting question, or he posed an interesting question that he poses to all the guests on his shows. And that question was, if you could pick 3 musicians to be in a 3-piece band, a.k.a.
Yeah.
the Jimi Hendrix Experience or Cream, who would it be? So I pondered that all day today, and I thought, and I think this came from Ian, I thought absolutely Don Henley on drums, because he's a beautiful vocalist, a brilliant writer. He's also a guitarist. So, you know, if you're looking at a band for 3-piece, you know, then you could do guitar player, he could play that, etc. So Don Henley on drums. And then I think this came from the podcast, but got to be Paul McCartney on bass, right?
Yes.
Again, brilliant songwriter, singer.
Yeah.
So he can contribute and do a lot. And then
He can do a lot.
Yeah, he can do a lot.
You know, he's okay.
he's
in
okay.
a band.
And
He
then
might
I
work.
thought, this is the shift for me, though. And during the conversation, you guys were primarily talking about male vocalists. And I thought, no, because of Helen, I thought it's got to be for me either one of these 3, Bonnie Raitt, Nancy Wilson, or Susan Tedeschi. Because they're brilliant
Okay,
guitar
yes.
players, particularly Bonnie and Susan with the slide. They're writers, great vocalists, etc. So
Yeah,
we are
you're right.
over time and out of time, but you guys ponder that. It's just been a fascinating show. Go out and buy Born Healer stuff. Go to their website. You'll get that T-shirt that's soaked in that whiskey. Well, not really. And we want to see you guys when you come to the States, when Lucy gets you over here, when things
Oh,
open
Yeah.
back
we're
up.
Look forward
amazing.
to it.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Been a blessing, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me on
Thank
Ride the Vibe.
you. Thank you so
Thanks
much
a lot.
for having us.
Cheers,
We're out of
Thank you so
here.
much.
Get
Have a
some
good day.
sleep, y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, bye.
Too late to set the record straight. Better get her done, son, 'cause the hour is growing late. Maybe there's a DJ out there somewhere who has a few regrets.